Hello YouTubers, and once again welcome to my latest review of the latest episode of the latest series of Doctor Who. This time I shall be reviewing the so-called 10th episode of the 7th series since its revival back in 2005, and I like to say it's the 11th. Technically it's the 11th episode if you count the Christmas episode, but it's the 10th normal standard episode in the series. So this is Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, which is also its joint longest title to be made for Doctor Who. It's tied with The Doctor, Wither and the Wardrobe, which some of you may know, as I expressed in previous reviews, that I do not really like that story. It's just really bad, and the dialogue in that is just appalling. But anyway, on with the review of this episode, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. So, do I like it? Yes. Does it have its flaws? Yes. Now, this episode is written by Steve Thompson, who also wrote The Curse of the Black Spot back in Series 6, which was a story that aired, I think, almost 2 years ago now. So that story I didn't really like at all. So I was kind of nervous about this story, as there was many high expectations among the fans, as this story features many rooms from the TARDIS, such as the swimming pool, the library, and there's even a room where it features all of these like orbs, and they control like how the TARDIS grows, because it's a ship that grows. So there's a lot of continuity in this story. So it's a big nod to classic series. However, I was disappointed by the lack of exploration, because really it was just running around in the TARDIS and not a lot was done. And the highlight for me though was near the end, where they actually go to the centre of the TARDIS and they're on a cliff top, and then they go down a cliff and they're inside this room, and it's all white and there's all these parts all over the place. And I thought it was really good CGI in this story, probably some of the best ever in Doctor Who, I think, but that doesn't really help the story. Basically, the story kicks off with the Van Balen brothers, I think they're called, and there's three of them. When I say Van Balen brothers, it makes me think of the Super Mario brothers. Don't ask me why. And basically, they're salvage hunters, and they detect the TARDIS in space as the Doctor's teaching Clara how to fly the TARDIS, and they reference previous goings on from the Rings of Akaten and hide, such as the conflict between Clara and the TARDIS. So that's still going on, and they use a sort of tractor beam. The brothers use this tractor beam to salvage the TARDIS, and basically TARDIS is salvaged it's in a pile of junk. Everything's all messed up inside the TARDIS. The Doctor's unconscious underneath some rubble. Clara has somehow got to one of the corridors in the TARDIS, but I think that's because of the temporal time distortion, and all the rooms get messed up. It's a bit like in Castrovalva, when they're caught in a time trap on the planet Castrovalva at the end of part 3 of that story. good story, that story. I recommend getting that in the New Beginnings box set. Go out and buy it on Amazon. So that's quite good. And as I said, the Doctor's underneath some rubble. And while the brothers are like explaining about the ship, and they're trying to get it open and stuff, and instead they're going to destroy it with one of those bomb things what he had. The Doctor comes out of nowhere. Now I don't know how he got out. You never hear the door. It's like 1 second he's underneath some rubble, then he's out safe and sound. No scratches on him whatsoever. And it just did not make sense at all. I just didn't understand it. At first, when I was watching it, I thought maybe it's something to do with time travel. Maybe he comes back or something to warn them about it, but it isn't. And I think it's a plot hole. But unless I'm not making sense and there is some solution, then comment below. That's what I find with Steve Thompson's story. They have loads of plot holes, because in The Curse of the Black Spot, there's absolutely loads of plot holes. I mean, how did the pirate even fly the ship in that story as it's from the future? I have no idea. But anyway, the Doctor takes the three brothers into the TARDIS. He sets this self-destruct system, but of course, many hardcore fans would know that the TARDIS does not actually have a self-destruct system as established in Victory of the Daleks by Mark Gatiss, which was back in Series 5, when he tricked the Paradigm Daleks with the Jammy Dodger when he went on board the Dalek ship. Again, continuity, and he challenges his brothers to find Clara, and he says that Clara is the ultimate salvage, meaning she's more priceless than the actual TARDIS. And why, I don't know. And meanwhile, Clara's exploring the TARDIS, and you hear the cloister bell, a reference to past episodes of Doctor Who. I think the last time it was heard, I think it was The Waters of Mars. That's how long I can remember back. So yeah, continuity again. She explores, and she just looks into the room where the swimming pool is. Reference to Invasion of Time, of course. And you see the library, but you only see them for a few seconds, and I thought it'd be explored more. So that was a bit of a shame, and no classic consoles either. Last year, in The Doctor's Wife, or 2 years ago I should say now, in Series 6, in The Doctor's Wife we had Eccleston/Tennant TARDIS. So because we've seen that, I thought we'd see maybe the classic TARDIS, from the first 26 years of the show, because basically that room was basically the same console room throughout. They had a few changes to the buttons and stuff like that, but it was very recognisable and hardly changed, except for the one introduced in season 14 during the Tom Baker era, where it was all wooden. It was a secondary console room, but I thought we'd see something like that, and I didn't think we'd see McGann's TARDIS, as that was all they'd been in once, and I thought we might see Chris Eccleston and David Tennant's TARDIS again, but we didn't. And we saw the Eye of Harmony though, which of course was seen in The Deadly Assassin and the movie, the 1996 movie with Paul McGann, which of course is actually in the TARDIS, and it was built into the floor, but now it's completely different. It's just a CGI sun, and it's quite a good idea, I guess, seeing as the TARDIS can change, as the console rooms can change. The console room has changed a few times now, which is good. And then Clara enters a room with a book, and it's to do with the history of the Time War. And I wasn't expecting that at all, because in the Matt Smith era, the Time War's hardly been mentioned. It's only been mentioned, I think, in The Beast Below, and it was touched upon at the end of The Rings of Akaten, during his speech with the Sun thing, which was quite good. Probably the highlight of that episode, even though that episode didn't really go down well in my books. And she just opens a random page and she finds the Doctor's name. So we got this whole thing about the Doctor's name again, which has been going on since the end of Series 6. And you may remember in the Bells of St. John review, which I did about a month ago now, I said that I was getting a bit tired of this whole Doctor Who thing. Still am, really. I mean, she doesn't actually say Doctor Who, but she knows his name until the very end of the episode, when basically the Doctor rewrites the adventure. So the Van Balen brothers are exploring the TARDIS, and then one of them takes out one of those orbs inside that room, which has all the stuff to do with the rooms, and it messes the whole TARDIS up, and that's when it all becomes like a maze, and everybody, even the Doctor gets lost, and there's temporal time distortions and everything, and Clara makes it back to the console room, but it's not naturally the console room, it's just a echo of it, as the Doctor said. And the brothers, two of the brothers and the Doctor go back to the real console room, which has been dismantled by one of the other brothers, who got killed by this zombie monster. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not exactly sure where they came from. Unless it's to do, I think it is to do with the time distortion. And these zombies are, I thought they were quite a good monster. They didn't have a lot of screen time, like the what's the name? Those monsters in the Rings of Akaten. But these have a more sinister presence, and they're actually used very well in this story, because they actually kill someone, which is a rarity nowadays in Doctor Who. And he kills the brother, and there's a lot of smoke coming out, which is quite similar to Pyramids of Mars, when that guy comes out of the vortex and kills the guy with the fez on. And I thought that was quite creepy, and the way they were shot with all the blur effects on the screen, I thought that was very good, because you don't actually get a real shot, like a clear look at them towards the end of the episode. And it turns out that these are actually humans who've been burnt, and the Doctor knows about these, and it turns out that it's Clara who has been burnt. So basically she has died again and turned into a zombie. So she died again, which I didn't expect either. And as for those Van Balen brothers, well, it turns out the other two also get killed and they get turned into a zombie. So all three of them get killed, and it turns out as well that one of them was supposed to be a robot or android at the beginning of the episode, as their eyes are like mechanical and they've got a different sort of voice box. But it turns out there's a twist towards the end of the episode, and one of them, I think his name is Tricky. Yeah, he's not an android. He is human because he had an accident and that took away his voice and his vision. So he got new eyes and a new voice box, and his brother just played it out as a joke. So not a really good family there. And if you want me to be completely honest, it was a bit pointless, and they could have done it without that in the story. And really, we should have just, instead of all that time about, oh, it was a joke, we're just having a laugh, you're not really a robot, you're human. They should have, instead of wasted time with that, Steve Thompson should have focused more on the TARDIS, seeing as that is in the actual title of the story, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. Not something like, the android that never was. That would just be completely pointless. So that was very pointless in my opinion, and they could have done without that. But they get killed, and they're not really important. So the Van Balen brothers get killed. The Doctor and Clara get out of the room with the Eye of Harmony in, and they escape to the centre of the TARDIS, which I mentioned earlier in the review, which it's like a white room and all the scrap is in the middle of it. But then the Doctor fixes everything with his sonic screwdriver once again, and of course I've said in previous reviews from this series that he uses it too often. He uses it again to save Clara, and he averts everything that has happened in the episode, which I also mentioned earlier on. So basically at the end of the episode, it's basically the beginning of the episode again. The Van Balen brothers find the TARDIS, and then it dematerializes. So instead of capturing it, they don't capture it, and that averts them getting killed by the zombies. But of course, that means that one of the brothers, Tricky, doesn't know that he is actually human and he's not an android, because his brother decided to pull a practical joke on him. I don't know why you would do that. I just think it was probably the low point of the story. But the high point of this episode, I would say, is a confrontation between the Doctor and Clara, when Clara asks about her death, and the Doctor says, "You died again," which is, of course, reference to the other two Claras from Asylum of the Daleks and the Snowmen, who both died. So, Clara basically finds out about the other two Claras in this story, and she also finds out about the Doctor's name, as I said before. So she finds out quite a lot in this episode, but her memory is completely wiped at the end of the episode by the Doctor, and they just continue the travels, and that is it really. So the main villain of this story, there isn't really one. It's questionable whether the zombies were actually villains or not. I mean, they were good. I thought they were used quite well, and nice twists that Clara was actually one of the zombies, and the Van Balen brothers was the zombies as well. But in some way, I could kind of see it coming as well with the Van Balen brothers. I didn't see Clara being a zombie. I thought that was quite a good surprise. And really the Doctor is kind of like the bad guy here, because he has all of these secrets that he's not telling Clara, and the Doctor tells Clara to never say his name. But I don't know why you would just leave a book about the Time War just lying around in one of the rooms in the TARDIS. I think that's a bit random, and it needs some explanation either by Steve Thompson or Stephen Moffat, whoever put the book in the episode. But I think it might be touched upon again in later episodes leading up to the 50th anniversary. So that is pretty much it. If I had to give this a rating out of 10, then I would give it a 7 out of 10. It's not a brilliant episode in my opinion, but it is a lot better than The Curse of the Black Spot. And as I said before, I did not really like that story. I thought the characters in that were completely pointless, and the whole sword fighting thing with Amy and the pirates, thought that was very stupid. Likewise with the Doctor and the Withering Wardrobe, the characters weren't really good, and in this story it's kind of like that as well, but it is quite a good story. Not terrible like the other two what I just mentioned. The Van Balen brothers are quite pointless. Really, the main characters that shine here are actually the main cast. So Matt Smith and Jalen Louise Coleman. I thought they were very good in the scenes towards the end of the episode at the heart of the TARDIS, and also I thought the CG was good as well. But there's a couple of plot holes still, like with the Doctor coming out of the TARDIS at the beginning, and I don't know really. There's just a few things I wasn't really fussed about, really. I mean, the zombies, I thought they were great. I thought they were good monsters, but of course we'll never see them again. Of course, and also the Doctor's secrets, I thought that was very good as well. But the lack of exploration of the TARDIS, like the fact that we only got glimpses of rooms such as the swimming pool and the library for a few seconds, I thought that was quite rushed really in the middle of the episode. So it had a good start, it had a iffy middle, and I thought the ending was okay, not the best ending in the world either. One thing this series is lacking is 2-part episodes. I feel like there should be at least one 2-part episode, and I felt the same way with The Angels Will Take Manhattan. I thought that should have been 2 parts, because I thought that was a bit rushed in the middle as well. So 7 out of 10. I'm not sure if it's as good as Cold War or not. Some elements of this episode are better than Cold War, but some aren't as well. Because obviously in Cold War, I thought the villain in that, the Skeldak, I thought he was better in that than the zombies, even though it was just one villain. Apart from the ending when they revealed his face in CGI. But other than that, it's quite a good story, and hopefully we'll get more stories in the future where we'll get more exploration of the TARDIS, but I doubt it. I mean, in the 50th maybe, but I really doubt it. So that's my review of Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. Thank you very much for watching this review. Next time I shall be reviewing The Crimson Horror, which is Mark Gatiss' second story of the series after Cold War. And that features Diana Rigg, who of course played a character from the 1960s TV show The Avengers, and also the Bond girl in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is a Bond film I don't particularly like. Also, it features a return of Strax, Jenny, and Madame Vastra, who made their last appearance in The Snowmen. So I hope you join me for that review, which should be up soon. Hopefully it won't be delayed. This review's been delayed by a couple of days because I've been busy with my coursework, but hopefully that won't affect the next few reviews I do of the upcoming episodes. So thank you very much for watching my review of Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS. Join me next time as I shall be reviewing The Crimson Horror.